What's up, everybody? Welcome. Just waiting here to let the stream load in. And a few people join before we get going. How's everybody? I can't believe it's already been 2 weeks since I did the last one. Kind of crazy. What's up, Michael? What's up? What's up? Long time since last 2 weeks, or a long time ago? Flays. Is that how you say it? Flays, I assume. We'll give this a few minutes. Let people get going before we get going. But we'll jump right in. We're going to work on where we left off last week on this guy was we blocked in the bust. I think we're going to block in all the posing tonight. Oh yeah, you just moved out to California? What part? Did you get work? I take it. It is crazy out here though, for sure. It's a big change depending on where you're from. But it's nice, for sure. Oh, Glendale. Oh, you're really close. Yeah, I'm in technically a place called Hawthorne, which is down just south of the airport, right by like El Segundo, Manhattan Beach, South Bay. Glendale is really nice though. So, not a bad spot to be. That's for sure. That's cool you made it out here. Helps to be here just for like meetings, getting work, or just meeting people at conventions and stuff, so good job. Oh, Laguna. Oh, man. It's so nice in Laguna. Are you Laguna, like, proper? Like Laguna Hills? Laguna Beach? I guess when I say proper, I mean, like, I think Laguna Beach. Michael, if you haven't been, Laguna Niguel, yeah, it's all nice down there. Michael, if you haven't been to Laguna, that area is awesome. I wish there were studios down there. You don't work at a studio, do you? In Laguna? That would be amazing. Okay. It's so nice down there. I mean, I guess close to Orange County, though, so a few things in the area for sure. But yeah, when I first moved out here, I lived in Woodland Hills for a bit. That's where my first job was, but I pretty quickly moved to West LA, Santa Monica, and lived there for a long time. And then once I got married, we've slowly moved south to South Bay. We like it down here a lot. It's really nice for like families, and there's actual parking, which is cool. You know, there's parking. This traffic's not as crazy. The beaches are really nice, so it's good. Yeah. Yeah, Laguna. We like visiting down Laguna. Go down there, like, where's this Rainbow Sandal Factory? I'm spacing. All those areas are nice. Yeah, San Clemente. San Clemente, Laguna. Going down there is great. And then you make your way to San Diego. But yeah, LA is awesome. You can't really complain. Other than housing is crazy expensive. But other than that, it's quite nice. All right. I think we need to get going. People join up in a bit. Cool. But basically, where I left off last week, and if you guys are still interested, I'm going to delete pretty much this body. And I'm going to start posing. For those who might be new, I don't know how many of all of you were here last week, but I started working on NightCrawler. So let me get my reference in here. Where are we at? Why is it not adding for me? Let me see. So yeah, I started working on NightCrawler. So we blocked in the bust. And then tonight, I'm going to block in, I think, this pose. I'd be curious your guys' opinion if I go the one with or without swords. So I already loaded up some reference here too. So let me load all these in. I have to get knee bent reference because Most of the other stuff I can probably wing it tonight, but as far as the knee goes, I'm going to definitely need a little reference there. It's depending on how far we get, we might have to grab reference for all sorts of things. But this in particular, I just want to understand my anatomy. But yeah, so I'm thinking either, I'd be curious if you guys have an opinion on this, otherwise I'll just roll with it. There's this one where he has the swords. And then there's this one where he is walking looking out into the distance, arms crossed. A little more introspective feel. I'll probably start blocking in and then decide, but if you guys have an opinion, this might be cool just because his arms are crossed up, but I don't know. Maybe as we get more in here, we could cast a vote or something. Not sure. Anyone else from California in there? Chat. Where's everybody from? Actually, I'm kind of curious where most everybody's tuning in from. Last week, or a couple weeks ago, we had some, as it got later into the night. Yeah, I was thinking swords too. I'd be curious what people are thinking. As it got later into the night, we had people from Europe start to chime in. I'm curious if any of you are from UK or Netherlands last time. All right, let's do this. Australia, what time is it there? Man. You have to be what, like... Australia, you're almost... Actually, I don't know. We have a contractor who works with us from New Zealand, or from South Africa, but I guess that's not the same. Never mind. I was thinking that at first when you said that, but that's not at all the same. Yeah. Oh, coming from DC. Nice. Phoenix. Cool. Nice. Congrats on the job. It's good. 3:06 p.m. Oh, okay. So for you, it's pretty good. You're just, I think you're ahead of us the day before. Right on. Okay, so I'm going to delete this thing. And then I'm going to go about just blocking this thing in like how I would on pose. And then we'll go from there, I think. The one thing I'm going to keep, I think, is his neck. At any point, if you guys have questions, feel free to ask about anything, really. We could chat about whatever as we do this. I'm basically, goal of this for me is have a good time, sculpt something that I'm enjoying, share some knowledge, hang out. So whatever you guys have going on, questions about whatever, feel free. And especially if it pertains to this, I can try and cover it. I was thinking of good ways to communicate before the stream too. If we ever wanted to do could do like a critique section of it, or like we sculpt something together and maybe feedback on that. I'm not sure. I could start like a Discord or something where we come with ideas and bring stuff to the stream. I have a Dropbox we could drop stuff in. That might be fun if people are interested. Doing sculpt overs and helping people with work. I've found that in the past, like people often, like when I look at other people's work and help them, they learn quite a bit from that because most people, we're all making pretty similar mistakes on things. So I could easily make a Dropbox and we could come up with a theme or whatever it may be and do that. I think that'd be kind of cool. Oh yeah, spotlight projections on. If you're ever doing spotlight, you need to turn this off. Why am I samples? It's in samples area, which always throws me off for some reason. I don't know why. I don't expect it to be in samples. Where'd I get these references? This is from, let me look real quick what it's from. I always forget. It's called like Human Anatomy. It's an anatomy book I got a long time ago, and I've always just had them. Let me see if I can actually add Picasa to this stream real quick, and I can just roll in that. Let me, 1 second here. Let me see. I'm new to some of the streaming software, so let me see if I can add Picasa. I use a thing called Picasa for my photo viewer, which is kind of funny because it's so old at this point. I should probably start using like PureRef. I started using that at work, and it's pretty nice. Where is it? I'm using OBS. And I always forget which one it is to add like a program. Media source, I think. Let's see. Picasa. Oh, the messages? Okay, hold on, let's sort that real quick. So you should see it here. Actually, let me sort the background. You guys should be able to see it at least on the stream. So you'll notice on the stream, let me fix the background real quick, but the messages are coming from different places. So you have this on Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube all at once. I'm reading it all on the software you can see on the stream, and I'm just realizing the background for you guys is not correct. But let me see if I can fix the background here for you guys. But they're coming from reverse. So if you look at the stream chat, that is more accurate to everybody's chat. But if you're looking at just like what you're on Twitch, you might not be getting every single message. That makes sense. So let me see if I can fix this so you guys have a solid background. One sec. See if this will update. Just trying to get it to be solid in the viewer, but right now it's overlapping. I can also like put it down. Let me see. I can move it. I think I can move it. Why is it not moving? No, not Twitch glitching. I'm trying to just fix it for you guys right now. It's not moving for me. Oh, because I'm moving the wrong thing, that's why. Silly me. All right, there we go. It's this. It's this one. All right, let me put it somewhere else that might be more legible most of the time. I need to get a... No, at least I can put it in a spot for you guys that you can read. I'm trying to get it to be the opaque background. Not sure why I can't. Again, trying to figure out some of this stuff. I was trying to make it to where it's much easier for you to read. It should be opaque, but it's not wanting to update. Let's see here. One last try. Chat opacity. Yes. All right, I don't know. All right, we'll leave it there. It's probably a little easier for you to read there. All right, so anyways, this reference, regardless, I'm not going to load up Picasa because I can't figure out how to do it. But it's from a book called A Human Anatomy for the Artist. So I got it. It came with it. It had a bunch of CDs. Here, let me get... And it came with a ton of it. I typed that in, and it's probably... But anyways, it's a book called Human Anatomy for the Artist. Let's see if I can find it here on Amazon. It has a lot of good reference in it. And I think there's a couple of them called this. This is Atlas of Human Anatomy, which is a really good book. And Anatomy for the Artist. Is it this one? Might be this one. I'm not sure. I know that's what my reference images are called. But I always really like them. There's a good set of images here. Let's see if I can even show you through this way that come with it. Can you guys see my browser? Let's look here. Anatomy folder. Oh, Spotlight. I'm actually loading Spotlight. I meant to load texture. All right, yeah. But yeah, it's a good book that I like. I find it pretty useful. It's all this kind of stuff. Oh, you guys can't see that. That sucks. Okay, I gotta figure some of this out. But anyways, there's a bunch of stuff in here, like really good images. So I definitely recommend checking it out. I can find out later for you guys if you remind me. After the stream, I could find a link to it and probably send it out. I just can't remember the exact thing it's called. So anyways, let's do this. I'm going to do Sword Guy right here. These little neat images I'm going to probably pull up later. For now, I'm going to scale them down. For me, it's pretty important getting any whatever reference you can get when you start to help. This pose, I'm pretty much going to run off these images and try to naturally just pose it myself. If you can, honestly, take pictures of yourself when you do this stuff. Yeah, I can set up a Discord. I started looking into it the other day, actually. It seems pretty simple. I got one going, and it seemed pretty easy, so. All right, let's do this. Let me separate this off real quick and get this going. Delete hire. So any of you guys working on any cool personal projects right now? What's nice about this stream is I'm finding it nice to just spend some time here doing this, which is nice. We could totally, if we got Discord set up, share some of that on there, which would be cool. Oh man, you're doing a short? Wow. Nice. Are you just doing the animatics, or are you planning on making the film? All right, let's group visible. So all I'm doing is grouping so I can split off. This is how I like to do it. I'm just going to group split. Group split, yes, okay. We're going to delete the rest of the body and start here. Nice, that'll be cool. What's up, what's up? Hi, babe. Redline? I haven't heard of Redline. JP from a movie Redline. Are you sculpting JP? You just like JP the character? Is it, what's up? Welcome, welcome for everyone joining. If you're just now joining, I'm basically gonna start, we're gonna block in this guy's pose tonight. So real quick, I'm gonna, basically you guys are gonna see, I'm gonna start simply just by blocking in kind of a T-pose, and then I'll start posing from there. And I like to do it in parts to make it as easy as possible. So I'm actually going to keep this neck as its own part. I probably should actually dynamesh it together, honestly. Ninja Dude sounds fun. Oh, okay, over-the-top racing game. Okay, that makes kind of sense. Sounds cool. I always try to pick stuff I think is fun to do that I either, if it's not for work at least, that I find that's going to carry me over to finish something. Otherwise, it's hard to finish anything. What was that? I learned a new tip last week, and that was on this side menu, was it control drag? Someone shared that you could, that it is control drag. I can control this menu. All right, let's dynamesh this thing. Basically, how I set up my groups is I'm gonna have one mesh and a bunch of parts, and just build out all the pieces in little groups, you'll see. That way, if I have like the neck, the torso, I'll probably have like the shoulder. You see a lot of people do this. Kind of like a little maquette. Not maquette, but a little armature. It's kind of how I approach it. Yeah, I typically try to pick stuff I like. Like that Akuma I recently did. I probably honestly would not have finished that if I didn't like Akuma. So I always tend to try to pick stuff that I enjoy. In this case, like NightCrawler, I've been wanting to do, so makes it fun. All right, it keeps going off screen. I don't know why, my pivots are off or something. Oh, I bet it's because, actually, I don't know why. Does anyone know? Okay, this is gonna sound newbie. Hold on. Why, when I'm dragging away, it's wanting to zoom down, like it's not focusing. on it. Weird. What do I look for in portfolios? Mainly, well, it depends, right? It depends the project you're on. Depends the needs. But in the case, typically when I'm looking, and it's for our project. So first thing I basically try to look for, someone obviously you think has quality work. For me specifically, key things I like, one, if they'd want to work on a project like ours. Yeah, maybe there's a tiny piece way out there. Good call. Let me look real fast. I think everything is right here though in my scene. That's what's throwing me off. I might need to I had a full body in here a second ago, so that's why I'm wondering if there's some residuals from this. Let me see, hold on. That is everything. Weird. Let me start a new scene. We're gonna go a cylinder. I'm gonna append my head. Sometimes stuff like this fixes it. So back to what you were asking though, what I look for. Oh, interesting. You know what this is, I think? Yeah, my head is way up there. Okay, this is what we can do. Let's append this cylinder. Then let's move all of this down ourselves. I think because I moved it all up for the body the other week when we were doing this. Okay, move it down. And it's retaining that pivot info. We're saying, ah, shoot. Get this guy out of here. How do I get that out? Oh, man. Trying to figure out the hotkey for not moving that part. Here, I'll just hide it. That works, right? Funny. And away. Ah. How do I get this one off my group for moving? Stop it. I come on here and I learn new things because, at work, it's funny when you're doing something like this. My workflow is kind of different actually than at work. And all right, here we go. There we go. So for sake of this, it's weird. I still feel like it should focus on my bust. Sometimes ZBrush really throws me with this stuff. All right, let's move forward. Now I kind of have it in somewhat the range, right? All right, so anyways, stuff I look for in a portfolio. So first off, if you're applying somewhere, you're probably going to apply, at least I would think, apply to something you would enjoy, and your portfolio would probably reflect it. So in that case, say you're studios that make fantasy games. I mean, and in saying this, it's sometimes hard to always have your portfolio reflect all studios. You're still wanting to get work, right? So I first look for people that probably are at least trying to do some personal work in the vein of where they want to be. That helps a lot in terms of just saying oh, they clearly want to work on a project like this. So say you've always had work that was realistic, but you want to work on a fantasy project, then I'd say spend some time when you can on fantasy assets just to kind of show that's what you're wanting to do. Aside from that, I typically try to look and see if they have game dev experience. So since I'm typically hiring for games, I am looking for people who show a knack for making assets, right? It's not uncommon for people to, let me just make that smaller. maybe make assets, but they don't understand game flow or game topology or game whatever it may be. So I personally like to see that stuff. You can teach a lot of the technical things, but I do think it's nice to, let me do it on the neck, to see that in the portfolio if possible. So like I remember hiring one guy, and his portfolio kind of already showed that he was thinking like a game artist, you know? He would try and make assets like they were for games. I saw him being optimal in like reuse and that kind of thing. And I was like, oh, that shows he's thinking. Also, his stuff was somewhat optimized. It wasn't like perfect, but I could tell like he was trying. And I like to kind of try to see in people's portfolios, though, a little bit of how they think maybe and approach stuff. Other than that, I try to look for just quality of work. I know that's a little objective, not quite as straightforward as always. But I like to really see that they're thinking games and something I want to work on, showing effort to do that kind of thing. So, like for example, when I wanted to get a job on fantasy games for a long time, I always liked fantasy stuff. And my first few jobs were not that, you know. Oh, sorry. Last one didn't get through. I think you want to flag the local button on the right of the canvas, not 100% on that though. Yeah, you're right. I think I turned that off now that you say that. That's what it is. I think you are correct, actually. So I think that's typically on by default. I think that is what it is. Nice, thank you. I must have accidentally hit that when I was doing the control drag thing. So anyways, when I first worked in games, I worked on, like I said, 50 Cent Bulletproof. It was kind of a stylized game, but it wasn't by any means fantasy. All the stuff that I like doing on my own typically lean towards fantasy or, you know, really stylized things. But that wasn't. But I wanted a job, so I didn't care. And so here I'm going to block in the rib cage, by the way. How I'm going to set this up real quick is groups that I can then rotate. So I'm going to kind of make it like the ribs, and then I'll adjust everything from there. So I worked on my own portfolio on the side so that when I got the chance to apply somewhere or knew someone that had a job there, they kind of already saw I was thinking that way. All the while, you know, I just built up my portfolio through work and whatever that was practical, that made sense. But I try to gear it towards something I want to do, you know, that I would like. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I could look at people's portfolios on here too, if people would like that. That could be actually kind of fun. Do a night where like people post up their portfolios and we look at them. That's always a good time. So right now I'm going to sculpt it in, I'm not going to finish this in T-pose. What I'm going to do right here is set this up kind of like this in T-pose. And what we're going to do is have the parts to then pose it. So the goal at the end of this will be here soon, maybe in just a little bit. We'll have all the pieces to then pose them how we want. It's funny, this message comes up all the time. I never read it. This brush has auto masking. So you can't have auto masking and Sculptress at the same time. If I can get, I would say tonight, let's look at someone's portfolio. If I can figure out how to get OBS to display web browser, I do it. The biggest thing I also notice, okay, here's another tip I'd say for portfolios, and I'd assume this goes for most fields, like if you're in film or whatever, I would think, is I prefer seeing people, it's like someone will say like, I want to be a character artist. And I'm like, okay, cool, you know, it's great. And then you go on there and you'll see like you're like, none of this looks like character work. Like 50% of it's like weapons or like boxes and shacks, I don't know, buildings, hard surface stuff, vehicles. And I always say that stuff's fine depending on what you're applying, but if you want to be a character artist or like say a weapons artist or something, apply and make that the focus of your portfolio. So let that be the part that shines and let everything else fall behind or even get rid of it altogether. So that when I come to your website, I'm like, oh, this guy like is character artist, right? That's like what he wants to do. Because oftentimes the stuff you like the most, you care about the most, is probably going to be your best work. It's not uncommon to see someone who has, you know, I don't know, just stuff because they think they have to have it. You know, people think they have to have X, Y, and Z in their portfolio for some reason. It's just not true. You can have just a couple really good examples of characters and get a job. You don't have to have a ton, as long as what you have is solid, right? And so to that point, I'd say keep your portfolio minimal as possible. Let's use this little capsule, make some legs. Let's see here. So yeah, basically for me, like it's not uncommon for me to block in a character like this, even at work for, say, like, we'll have a stage where we do, like, proxy stuff to block in the feel of a character, and I'll block it in this way. It's not uncommon. Yeah, it's definitely better to have a light portfolio. I can't tell you how many I've seen. Like, if we get on here and we open up some people's portfolios, guarantee you, there's going to be some that, and it's not even to people's fault always. They just think they have to have like, oh, I have to apply and I have to make a weapon. I need to make a car. You know, I even did this kind of stuff when I first started. I thought I had to do certain things just to show, because I wanted to just work in games so bad. But the reality is if, like back to that guy I was talking about that we hired, I remember hiring a couple years ago. He didn't have a ton of work in his portfolio, but the few pieces he had showed that he was thinking games, and he spent all his energy on those pieces, made them really nice, and it showed. And it was focused, you know. And that goes a long way. These funny little legs. So the one thing I personally try to get in, I don't do full-on T-pose. I like to have like rhythm in mine a little bit. Especially someone like this, like NightCrawler, who's going to have a lot of rhythm in the forms. So I just do it right away. Right from the outs. And if you notice, I have topological on here, which you can't do with Sculptress, which I probably should just turn off when I'm doing some of this stuff. So that I have these all as one mesh right now. They're just little subtools or polygroups. Makes to keep my life a lot easier. So I'll try and make sure to have some sort of kind of point for where your hip hits, right? Because that's where the quads are going to pull from, or your serratus muscle at least. And it's kind of a landmark. I'm trying to have a couple landmarks here. Try and get like a nice curve in the pelvis. Doesn't have to be perfect. This is mainly for just getting my proportions going. What's up, Game Art 101? Oh, a couple people joined. What's up, Daniel? Game Art? Thanks. Glad you came. Does the rhythm usually translate to the production-ready rig? It depends who you talk to. It depends on the character, but typically you try to not have too much rhythm. You can have rhythms within like secondary forms. So like maybe like this leg, naturally if it has rhythm, you can have some of it, right? Like legs just standing have rhythm, but what you wanted to try to avoid, most animators don't want you to pose it. They will put the character into the posing. And so they'll often be like, you know, they don't want to try to counter correct your, like, so for example, like on my finger, if like I probably, when we pose this, would have like some like counter curves and things and like rhythm through here. And they don't want, when they're doing a different pose than this, to have to be fighting curves I put in. So you got to be careful where you put that stuff, right? But it depends. Depends on your project, how much control you have on the rig, that sort of thing, you know? Yeah, and this guy in particular, to your point, he's kind of always hunched. His posing is kind of just like that. So you may do that in the rig, but also typically how I'd handle it is I'd build it like this with in sync with like an animator, and we'd actually pose this proxy and put it in and try and get it into the positions that we think are the character will be in, and make sure that our joint positions will make sense. So like, for example, on this model, like we'd put a joint right here, like in the pelvis, right? I mean, sorry, in the pelvis here, in the stomach here, in the rib cage here, in the neck, and so forth. And we'd actually force the model into position and see if it can get into the positions we want. And if you build it in a way, they should be able to put NightCrawler just standing and then NightCrawler in pose. So you kind of plot it out together, and that's where it's really important to test your proportions and that kind of stuff, you know. So yeah, it's really important phase. In this case, we're probably going to make this guy pretty lanky and big. I mean, sorry, and long. A lot of rhythm. What software do you need to know? Honestly, like, I would say, it depending on the job. Most jobs you need to know how to sculpt, and so like most everyone uses ZBrush. You need to know how to sculpt. Now, you could probably learn in like Sculptress if you wanted or something, but you need to know how to sculpt. I'd say software is not as important as your output. It would be odd to be a character artist not using ZBrush, I'd say, but as long as your output is really good, then you're good. So like Maya, Max, whatever, like that doesn't matter, honestly, as long as you show skill set. And you're outputting something that's relevant. Like if you are good at drawing, like you aren't just going to get hired for being a 3D guy. You'd have to show that, right? That's really all that matters. Because the principles, and also the software changes, like we have mainstays like ZBrush at this point, but even ZBrush evolves, right? Like your techniques and things change over time. Like look what I'm doing right now. Like a couple years ago, I would have never blocked a character in like this because you didn't have Dynamesh or something, right? It was just slow, but now you do, and that changes. But what you need to understand is like form and anatomy and structure, how to make a good-looking character, that sort of stuff. Oh, posing for your portfolio. So Game Art's asking, if I'm making it for a portfolio, is it better to have some posing to sell the character, right? Not necessarily, because you're not an animator, and I would not expect that from a character artist. So if you feel you're really good at posing and can do it, and it makes it better, you can. I would advise most people, personally, there's the occasional person who'll make some killer like thing as a student or something where you're like, wow, let's pose like really nice. Most people though, I would spend my energy on just making really nice asset, like really good sculpt, really good presentation, just a character, even if it's as simple as them just standing there, right? Just a little bit of pose to them, just relaxed, and try to focus it on the execution of that. Again, back to that guy we hired, he had one thing that was kind of posed, but not really much. Wasn't really a focus, I'd say, on his portfolio. He had pretty just straightforward stuff. It was just really well done. I think that, to me, is where I'd spend your time if you're trying to get work. Posing's cool, but you don't have to worry about that in your job. You have people helping you with that. Now, I think natural rhythms and form and like how they just stand there. When I sculpt something, like I said, it's probably going to be more in there or by default, right? But this NightCrawler has long legs, doesn't he? but you don't have to pose it. Posing takes a long time. Do you sculpt joints than the rest of the anatomy? Do you mean like the bone structure? Do I sculpt bone structure? I don't really sculpt bone structure other than when I'm sculpting just like bony landmarks, right? So, like if you feel a landmark on the figure, like you should have those, like all landmarks, like your elbows and, you know, bones and stuff. Make sure you feel that stuff out. But do I sculpt the bone structure? No. I don't think you need to. Unless you're doing like a study or something. Then maybe. All right. So at this point, I'm just kind of just getting everything in there. Inflating. It's sometimes easier with Sculptress. So you said, I love Breath of the Wild and the shading and such. At what point would you test for those shaders? I noticed your ref is stylized, etc. Probably, okay, that's a good question. You should definitely be considering that when you're building your work, right? So in this case, I'm thinking of this guy more like a statue type maquette. So I'm thinking of it more in just the straight up forms, not so much the shading in that sense. So like for me, I'll have shaders just like these basic ZBrush shaders. I'll look at it in like Maya to understand, like, especially once we start posing, make sure the pose feels like it's solid and standing there. By the way, if you're coming into this now, this looks really silly, I know. We are blocking in the body, basically. We're just doing it from scratch. But saying that, you should be considering your forms pretty early on. And I often will suggest like kicking something into like Maya or whatever package, right? Drop a material on it and see how those forms read. The other thing, at least in games, is important is your camera, your game cam. And also considering that. And so it's very common to, and that's where this blockout phase is really important, where I would say you block it all out and you actually drop it into your engine and look at it from game cam. And we do that all the time, where we'll block this thing out, we'll look at it, literally, we'll pose it and look at it at game cam and be like, do we think the planes are gonna hit correctly? Like, you know, like if he's gonna have a face, like does it need to be rotated a certain way to hit correctly? And that would involve your shading model too, probably. You kind of think about that stuff as you build it. And if you do cell shaded like Breath of the Wild, then yeah, those guys they're really considering when they're making their forms, their low poly and stuff, like those edges. And so, yeah, they have to definitely be thinking about that like pretty early. Well, not even early. You also typically will have like a couple assets at some point where like, these are kind of good example assets. And you kind of start to just understand it. But there's just phases to it. That's why you don't want to just finish the character wholesale. You want to block it in. Oh my goodness, these feet look so funny right now. You want to block it in, feel it out, right? And I should probably do toes group, but let's just, oh, that's right. He has the two toes. He does not have, so what we're going to do for his feet right now is just get the main thing going. We'll do toes later. I'm not going to worry about toes right now. Oh, what am I doing? Look at that. So yeah, it's all about phases and not getting ahead of yourself, really. And checking things at phasing. And I think most people who are developing in some semblance of some smartness, I probably have some phases built into their pipeline for these sorts of things. Let's flatten this foot. I like to go to the bottom here, and I personally, if I'm doing it personally, like this is one of those things that you might not do in the rig, but because they like things kind of straight, but like I'm going to completely pull all this out and have him standing, not bow-legged, but knees pointed this way a little bit more. Looks kind of bow-legged right now, doesn't he? Get those coming together because he's a strong dude. Thin out the ankles. Oh man, the ankles are really thin on this way. You said up here, what would you have done a year ago? Admiral Supernova, what do you mean by what would have I done a year ago? Why don't I Z-sphere? Because I never found Z-spheres honestly that intuitive for me. I'm also talking and going kind of extra slow here. So it might feel kind of slow. But I prefer this. I don't know. I just do. You know, and you'll find some people just kind of work a certain way. It doesn't even mean it's the most efficient. That's just how they do it. It is not the best reason always, but it's a reason. And my reason is I like it this way. I like using those insert mesh brushes, which is kind of funny. So even here, I'll start doing stuff like just checking the links. So I'll be like his lower legs seem really short. I actually think my initial pass was probably closer than I thought. Yeah, look how short the legs are. Actually, no, they're long, but the torso feels long. There's some off stuff already about this. I'll check like some distances here to see like from my... So like one key thing to note is if I'm rotating from the knee here, this heel should hit like right around this bone. Which it kind of does actually, so we're not too far off. I think we're just thick. Yeah. So he does have a toe in the back. I should know this before I go. It's kind of like a claw grip, right? That I should put in. So it's kind of like a... What kind of animal? What is NightCrawler? I mean, here's his tail. Can anyone here, does anyone know what NightCrawler's base form is? I know he's a mutant, but is he like themed? I mean, like, I'm trying to even think of what, yeah, so he's a demon dude. So he has claw grip. So basically we'll just have to make it kind of like a bird. I guess it's most like a bird. And he has 3-fingered hands. All right, we'll get there. Oh, it was my comment about never blocking in a year ago. Oh, before ZBrush progressed. Yeah, I probably, before I did it this style, probably just, we'd poly model it in Maya. You know, just like block it out in Maya instead, which you still could. So you just get your base proportions that way. Which totally, I mean, it totally still could work. But, oh yeah, totally is Ninja Turtles hands and feet. So all this is feeling way too, like, is this like epically long torso area. It's kind of funny looking right now, to be honest. Let's just add everything in here. So let's get the arms, and then we can kind of start to feel out what's feeling funky. I mean, he's really thick right now. That's also the other thing. And they always feel really funny at this stage, in my opinion. until I spend a little time like sculpting out some forms, which we can do next. So you kind of put a little effort into getting the structure there. My tablet, I use the Wacom tablet, but I was just reading, it was like an ad on IGN or something about some new, I think it was IGN, some new tablets, and they were like astronomically cheaper. I think used tablets fine, by the way. If you have someone that has like a Wacom tablet and you can acquire one, they're great. Go for it. No shame. I used the same Wacom tablet for a long time before getting like the one I have now, and it basically eventually just broke down. That's the only reason I got the, oh shoot, where'd my neck go? What did I do? Oh, I moved the neck. What did I do? Looks like I moved it all forward or something. Let's see here. Sorry, I got mentally distracted there. Yeah, the Wacom tablets are great. So, yeah, honestly, they're great. If you can get a used one, do it, but there are some decent ones. Oh, see? Cake is giving us the background. I, making this, should probably know this stuff, but I just think he looks cool. It's the mother of Mystique. So wait, hold on. You said NightCrawler, Kurt's mother's Mystique. Okay, check. That kind of makes sense. Also known as Raven Darkholm. She's known as Raven Darkholm, okay. And his father is the demonic warlord Azazel. So it's demon, and Mystique is she demonic? She's just a mutant, but yeah, I have Intuos. What do I have now? I have the black ones. The Intuos. I feel like I had the 3 for a while, if that's the gray one. I want to say this is 4, maybe. But yeah, the things last forever. So, I mean, they're worth their money if you have it, but no shame in getting someone's used one. Totally fine. Same with Cintiq. I still have the old gray Cintiq that's a square, and I actually kind of prefer it. And it depends what you're doing. Bamboos can work too. I do prefer the larger surface area. Some of those ones can be kind of small, you know? That's the only negative I'd say to them. We can also do stuff like this. Just draw. Oh. Draw some tubes. If you don't want to, oh yeah, it always throws me off. I need to make this longer, but this is another way to do this. Get off it. All right, so basically I'm going to put in the clavicle, essentially, right? The forms are going to be around to that. Give him some lats here real quick. He's got his little love handles, his glutes. But the key thing being here is dude's got some traps. That's for sure. Let's see. Mom's mistake later in the comics made Kurt into a demon instead of just a cool-looking mutant. That probably makes more sense. He probably was just a cool-looking mutant. Later designed, became demon. Yeah, I'm not sure about what it's called now. Yeah, so I ended into his 3 for ages, the gray one. Yeah, I mean, honestly, Ventlox is right. Just get one you can afford right now. You can get better, get good. I agree. That's what I was saying. Get a used one. If you have someone that's used one and give it to you or something, just get that. Otherwise, just find one you can afford. And Ventlock's dropping some truth bombs. It is true. It's not going to make you any better. But sometimes a nice piece of hardware or something can at least like, I haven't used any of the other ones, so just do your research. Just make sure they work fine. That's all that really matters. As long as they work, then you're probably okay. Also, like there's some value in not spending too much early on to see if it's, say you're new to this, you even like it, you know? Like if it's more of a hobby still, then make sure you're interested, you know? Otherwise, you'll end up spending money on something you don't even use that much, right? So there's some probably value there. Yeah, Wacom does market well. Also, the community for the most part uses Wacom, so kind of one of those things you feel like, oh, I need the Wacom tablet. It must be, you know, the one to get. I just don't know. Honestly, I don't know the names of the other ones. I saw, like I said, I saw an article on IGN. Oh, the One, that's one you're talking about. I think it is called something like called One or something like that. All right, so what would a new employee typically be tasked with? How much time do you typically have to complete a character from start to finish? I'm committing. Yeah, then commit. Get your thing. All right, so what would a new employee be tasked with? Just depends. So like, I could say most new employees, most teams, sometimes if you're hired full-time and you're on a team, you'll just be like anyone else, so they'll ramp you up. You'll probably get a character or something and start working. I mean, that's pretty common, right? And characters, depending on the project, I mean, that vastly changes based on where you're at, how long you get to work on things. And it can change drastically. Like, the last studio I was at when we were making the mobile strategy game, the guys would spend like, I mean, this wasn't, they had the pipe going though. Like they all had the style down and they had it going, right? And they spent like 2 weeks on a character. I mean, it was crazy. And they did a good job. I'd say as you get up to like higher end stuff, you could spend anywhere from like 4 to 8 weeks on a lot of characters. Just because they take time to plan, they might have a lot going on. And if you're new, you know, you might be getting ramped up. And then, but yeah, it really just depends. I mean, we would hire guys like on, say, God of War, when we were on that, you'd be closing in towards the end of the project, and you might hire someone just for helping out with a specific thing. Like we literally hired this guy, Jay, to come in. We had this like, in God of War Ascension, there was this like giant statue thing that we sculpted. And, well, I didn't sculpt it. This guy, James, did, Van and Bogart. And it was so much work to convert it to an environment. So like we literally hired this guy who was into like hard surface modeling. And he came in and we're like, dude, we just need your help. Like doing topology like crazy man on this. It has to be like an environment. And his main job was to basically work with Jim and the environment artist to get that going. That's what he did. Granted, we gave him other stuff over time, but like that was a specific thing we needed. And he did that for us, right? So, but most places you'll have like, it'll be pretty clear what you're doing. They'll be hiring for something specific. So, like in my case, since when I joined Riot, I was an art lead. So I had to get familiar with like things like the art direction, you know, whatever it may be that's slightly different, the team, how they run stuff. Had to watch presentations on videos on the game we're making, and so forth. So you kind of like acclimate a bit at first. Most of the time they don't expect you to crush it right away. Get familiar. If that answers that question. And yeah, I'm on a new project. On a new one, yes. All right, I'm gonna have to look at these different feet of NightCrawler. I feel like this image I'm looking at on ZBrush, he has normal feet, but just 2 toes. Cool, thanks for joining, Daniel. Thanks for the kind words. Come anytime. I'm trying to do every other Tuesday. I start at 10 and we go, oh my goodness, look at his arms. That is funny. Start at 10, trying to go, honestly, I'll probably go close to 1, just because I'm on already and it's fun. And I feel like tonight especially, we need to at least take a stab at this pose. I can't just like block in this boring thing. Right? That would not be cool. Also, arms are too straight. I prefer to bend them. So stuff like in the blocking I do at least is I try to just hit bony angles. So like in this case, we'd be like elbow, forearm. Okay, this guy's gonna have forearms that are clear. So let's get those in. Pull these ones forward, you know, like really show this bony landmark down here. That kind of stuff. That's really easy to do in ZBrush. That's what I do. If you're doing this for yourself personally, then I'd see this kind of, think of it like if you're taking figure drawing, just try and get the gesture in quick and don't try to get caught up too much in anything. I'd say that is pretty key in this point. So this guy's neck might be too thick right now. Let's thin it out. We want him to feel lean. In the end, like he should be pretty lean. So let's get this mass out of here so we can lean this thing out. Basically, we can make this just the head. Just try to stay loose in the early stages. Don't get high res, you know. Try to keep it loose. What we're going for is to find any of our problems as fast as possible. So say we want him to kind of naturally have a little hunchback going, then yeah, maybe we put this into his basic little pose. Let's rotate his neck a touch. Going back. And so, oops. Let's pull this neck back. Get a little Adam's apple kind of thing going. Make sure, like things I might start to look out for in this case, I mean, really not that important, but I'm assuming his, what are these muscles called that pull behind your ears down to the front of your clavicle, right? Kind of start to think about where those things are going to land. So, like in this case, that might mean I know I'm going to have bony land structures here. So I need to be thinking about that a little bit, I would say at this point. I try to. So I know I might start to pull in like a little bit of what will become anatomy. So I know this stuff's going to be there. So I try to think of it at a high level form, but not too detailed yet. So like, for example, I'm like, wow, this is like really far forward. Maybe that's okay, but I got to make sure then my block-in kind of flow is going to support that, because you're going to need to make sure the muscles feel like they're attaching here. Like your neck is like a cylinder. yeah, your sternocleidomastoid, the longest muscle to stay. There's no like short one for that, right? Most things are like your lats, your whatever. That thing's sternocleidomastoid. Silly question. When you sculpt a tail like you're about to do you sculpt straight out and ready to rig? Yeah, for a rig you would. We're not going to. I'm thinking we're going to pose him and then just take that insert tube thing and draw it around. You know? For fun, we could add it now, I guess. Why not? And we'll remove it. Let's do it. All right, I'm going to, this is what's tricky about this though, is I need it to be only one thing. Actually, I guess we can turn off symmetry for this. Oops, let's clear the selection. Clear. So then we're going to split this. Split hidden. So that's its own thing. Let's center it a little bit for sake of practice. So I'll probably redo this. I'm not going to even use this. It's going to come out of his tailbone most likely. Makes sense. Extend it out a little. This really is for us at this point as maybe a reference for overall balance of this character. Let's turn off that real quick. So we get here, we're going to there we go, just for the sake of having something, we have it, I guess. And that'll be good for now. This works. There we go. How far do I plan on taking this project? Do you plan on keeping it as a sculpt, or do you plan on doing the low poly eventually? This, for me, I'm thinking, well, I mean, honestly, if I make this whole thing and you guys would like to see how we do low poly, I just have to check in with Pixelogic guys and see how far outside ZBrush they let me go. Because now we're getting into a whole like game thing. But if maybe, or what we could maybe do is just some sections on it, right? I know they don't mind me doing other things like that, but it's a lot of time. And I know they want us to be sculpting. And so I see it as like, well, let's sculpt something. All right, and his tail is actually probably going to be longer than this. It's probably going to be pretty long. Let's just move it out. There's some advantages to the old gizmo, too. I guess the new one does the same thing. What am I saying? I'm just used to the old one. Yeah, you could call it the mastoid. You know, I would stream on my own Twitch if I did it more often. So I figure like I'll do this for now. And if it becomes a thing, let's say like I have time to do more and we wanted to do different types of stuff. If I was going to do different things on the channel, then yeah, I could probably start up my own channel for things like that. But for now, like, I honestly just like using ZBrush. It's fun for me, you know? All right, so hands, that's what I'm gonna do for hands right now, especially since we're going to give him probably swords. He'll probably be holding swords. So let's just put cubes. And eventually we'll sculpt the hands. Because really your hands are kind of a plane anyways, right? Top, front. I could probably even block that out at this phase too, where you just do like a simple shape of hand. So like, let me think. I'd probably, this needs to come off the wrist clearly. All right, let's try it. Let's make it as thin. Oh, it's rotating it. Why is it not scaling for me? Why is it scaling that way? Oh, local sim. Turn that on. All right. I always look at my own hand for ref, honestly. All right, so this is only four-sided, or I mean, sorry, very low poly, so we could even go in and the Z model, get rid of this loop. Let me see where it is, the combo. Alt-delete. There we go. All right, let's Alt-delete this and this. Now I've got a cube. Now let's move this stuff in a little. So really, I mean, your fist is like plane, 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 kind of, right? Then you got like different angles here. So you could just do that for now. We will, I say we, let me think here. Let's try this. We're going to turn on Sculptress. We're going to smooth this thing a little bit. Oh, not that much. Let's turn off our smooth. We just want topology. Really. I just want some stuff. Now we're going to take our clip curve, thinking, oops, fist there, fist back. This is not good. You got your fingers here, you got your fingers here, and we can leave it at that. Let's leave it at that. Let's not overthink this until we get it imposed. And probably what I'll do is I just start sculpting it, or I try and block in those planes and go from there. But let's keep going on the body. Like, again, we don't want to get too blocked in or locked in on anything. What we probably should focus on here at this point is our scale. So like when I back out, it's like, is he going to have the scale we need to hold the little weapons? That's it. And we'll get there. So honestly, if we have them posed down like this pose is pretty symmetrical. Maybe I'm doing something easy. But, yeah. Oh my goodness, what did I do to the head? Look at that guy. Looks like, I don't know what it looks like. He definitely is an alien now. Oops. Let's undo. When did I even do that? I don't even know when I did that. Oh. What? That's when I did the tail? Did I have, oh, I had this on. Oh, shoot. I gotta be careful with that, right? Yeah, it does look like the stick bug. Oh man. Did any of you guys watch the Death Stranding trailer? What happened there? You want to know? Okay, so what happened was, if you're wondering real quick, I think what I did is when I was working on this, ZBrush has this feature right here where you can transpose all selected subtools. I think I had that on. And I must have somehow, honestly, I don't know. It's probably the other way around. I probably had this selected and I moved it. I don't remember when. I do know that we were moving this down here earlier, and maybe I did it then. Thankfully, it was in the same scene, so all is well. So, who knows? Yeah, the Death Stranding, no, it's not out yet. I think it was on IGN. I read a funny article, which I totally agree with, which was like, basically it was like, I don't think the game will ever be as good as all the theories up until the release of the game. You know? It's like, what is this thing? I enjoy the mystery of it, like the kind of mystery horror kind of thing going on with it. I think is really cool. You know, I've been enjoying a lot of that stuff lately. It definitely has like a Stranger Things kind of vibe going. All right, so here are little thoughts for you guys. Clearly, this is up to how far we want to take it real quick. Just sidetrack. We can take it as far as we want at this phase. I mean, I still need to get this kind of sorted, but as far as how far do I take this form here, like the rib cage and the traps and everything, probably not too much further than what I'm doing. I got to probably resist, personally. I'm going to pose this specific pose symmetrically, or I could be hardcore and not. I don't think I'm going to be that hardcore and do it all asymmetrical. There's a lot of value probably in that, but I don't think I'm going to. So anyways, I'm probably going to just take it about as far as this. But what I was going to say real quick was the rib cage, remember always that there's a little kind of like egg shape under here, and you have these change of planes. Or when you look at it from here, like if you look at any anatomy breakdown, you're always going to see them draw it like really simple, like this egg shape. And there's typically like this front plane that goes up into the head here, and then there's this like plane back here. Just note that it starts to turn, the form starts to turn back kind of like around here, right? I'm not going to even get specific to which rib or anything like that. And then this thing, as it goes back into here, right, into the little egg, you're going to have your clavicles and things come over it. And so that's where you're getting the outer forms. But the one thing I think is good to remember is that from the side here, this is going up into your neck. And you should feel that, you know, as it's going up into there. And you should feel the overlapping forms when you guys start to sculpt this stuff. I'll see a lot of times where like this armpit area doesn't totally feel correct, and the things don't interlock, and when we get to there, we'll go over it. But a big part of that is the feeling of your rib cages going into your body, and these things overlapping it. And that subtle shift of just like in goes a long way, a real long way. And then, you know, your traps are going to come up under here, onto your armpit, and your chest muscle is going to come over the arm, and your lower bicep and stuff is going to come in between the two. So just a little thought there. I'm not going to go too detailed, but the thing I think I need to worry about at this point really is just my rib cage kind of change of planes, so that when we do a quick pose, it kind of has that volume there already. It's basically all I'm going to worry about at this point. I'm also going to make sure at this point too that my bicep, is going down into that spot. So like we have a deltoid, and honestly I could make it may be worth making just a sphere here for the delt to help move it around, but what I want to make sure for sure at a minimum is we have this upper area. In this case he has that crazy his costume coming off, so it kind of works. I mean, we could even make the delt off him. Maybe we can put it in this part. Here we go, we're doing it. But you can see now the rib cage is going to pull in there like that. Yeah, Death Stranding is so crazy. It's just so nuts looking. I don't even know if it's going to be fun. No one knows it. Yeah, what's it about? Oh, my headset. Yeah, I like that joke running. What's it about? Hideo Kojima. Yeah. It's funny. It'll probably be fun. I actually like the Metal Gear games when I play them, you know, jokingly. When I'm playing, Metal Gear is really fun. And even his action scenes, I feel like Kojima's action scenes are awesome. I just got, man, some of those scenes in Metal Gear, I remember in Metal Gear, was it 4? They'd be like cooking eggs. And you're like, oh my goodness. He was talking to like a little girl cooking eggs. And you want to fall asleep, you know? So hopefully there won't be as much of that in this. But when I play Metal Gear games, I always like the gameplay. So this will probably be awesome, I'm sure. Are you planning on making the costume super tight like the comics or more realistic like a Marvel MCU costume? I'm probably going to keep it tight like the comics with a thickness to the layers so you just feel it. Not like the MCU stuff. Probably like what we have here in the comics. Pretty tight. I think sculpting anatomy is honestly a lot of fun. And so keeping it tight like that, you can sculpt the anatomy. You say, I asked because I struggle to balance how much detail of the forms to add when a character is just going to be covered up versus something form-fitting. Yeah, so like if they're going to be covered up, then, well, if they're wearing just normal clothes, then depends how you're generating your clothes. If you're using like Marvelous or something, then your underlying form has to support what you're doing. If you're sculpting it, then you might not even do what I'm doing, or you might use it as reference, you know, something like that. But if you're doing like I'm going to do, which is like muscle dude, then yeah, just we'll take it all the way, right? All right. I feel like every character I make, I fumble with for a little bit. And then I finally make my way through it, figure it out. Just so you're aware. It's never like awesome right away. All right, what am I missing here? Yeah, people are funny on there. It's like it's such fanboys, you know, and haters all in one on the things talking about it. Yeah, I think I'm erring more on the guy number 1 camp where it's like that, where I'd rather err on the side of like I assume I'm going to enjoy it, because there's a time period where I feel like I just hate on stuff. And it's exhausting. And once I started being like, I had a buddy who just liked things. He's like, I just love these movies, these games. And I'm like, man, why am I not more like that? Like, why am I mean, like, it's fine to be critical. You know, I don't have to like everything, and I don't. But I think erring on the side of like being optimistic for these entertainment, because it is just entertainment, and it's not going to solve the world's problems. This definitely makes more sense. So, yeah, I'm with you on that. Wait, Metal Gear Solid 4 is the only one you've enjoyed out of the Metal Gear series? Yeah, the Psycho Mantis stuff and the early ones was awesome. Wait, it wasn't to buy the game magazine. It was on the box itself how to beat them, wasn't it? And you could use the memory card switch. Yeah, totally, Cake. I agree. Like, we have to be critical. And I think there's times for it to understand, like, you know, how to break things down. But I think as a consumer and as a fan, I think learning to turn that part off is important. Man, he looks really funny right now, guys. Really funny. All right, let's Let's turn off, all right. So what we need to do, we need to up our smooth. And start, I need to start sorting some of these forms just a little bit. But yeah, I just found myself being critical, like just critical of stuff. And you don't have to be, you know? I don't have to prove to everyone that I know what I'm talking about. You know? All right, this lower leg feels short. Let's soften this, move it down. Actually, that helped a ton. The lower legs were all janky and little. There we go. Yeah, I feel like some people feel like they have to always prove that they know what they're talking about through their opinion. And I just stopped trying to do that. I used to be such a fanboy. Like I loved stuff like, and I still do. I'm a huge Sony and Nintendo fanboy to this day. I just found myself like defending these things for no real good reason. I remember the Xbox came out, and specifically I was working, here, sorry, I'm just chatting. Let me see if you guys are saying anything on here. Not a video game guy, really. Oh, man. So much good stuff. So, yeah, if you're not aware, okay, Callaway, find me again. You can find me here. I'm also Art of Katon on Instagram. So, like, if you're on there, so, like, at Art of Katon. Also, let me sort out the Discord thing. I don't know how active I'll be on it, but at least it could be, like, something where, like, if people want to join the channel and we're going to stream, you know, I can let you guys know before I do it, and you guys could prep anything if you want me to, like, you know, or we could be like, hey, let's review someone's work tonight. And you guys could upload something to Dropbox, you know. But yeah, I'll be here. Katon Callaway. KatonCallaway.com. Just going. I'm just kidding. Yeah, the explanation was on the box. It was on the back, I think. Something like that. But yeah, Cake, I'm on Instagram mainly. I have a Facebook too, Art of Katon, but I don't really go on there. Like if you message me on there, I probably wouldn't see it. So you can kind of see here, guys, I'm trying to get some of these rhythms. So like have the calves up a little higher. They're like pointing down at the knee. This kneecap's a little funky right now. I could try and like make a plane here. Like for example, why I'm putting this kneecap specifically is when we start blocking in this pose, this little cap here is like really important. You know, it's the sliding position between your two joints. So I'm probably just gonna have that like on the front to help me lock in that solid feeling, just to get myself going. What's R&D mean? R&D is research and development or new projects. Depends where you're at, what they call it. R&D, new games, that kind of thing. So Riot's known for League of Legends, obviously. And so there's other things in the works. I'm on one of those things. So anyways, this kneecap, this bad boy, it's important. So I'm not going to spend too much time on it right now, I think, but I just basically want it there for that reason alone. It's also kind of gigantic at this point. Hey, by the way, you guys can't hear my music, right? I have music playing this whole time. And I did not want you to be able to hear it because someone asked last stream not to do that, which makes sense, so you guys can have your own music on. So I made sure. Okay, cool, good. Yeah, tell Pixologic thanks that they do this. They actually put in some serious work to get these streams to go for everyone. And it's not a small amount of work that they do to help us get set up. So yeah, for sure let them know you guys enjoy this stuff because they put in the work. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't even know how to set this thing up. So like Kyle over there helped me just get the stream going, you know? Like the first time I did it, he showed me how it all works. Not all of us are as intuitive up on how the streams work. So yeah, let them know for sure. I'm sure it would make their day. So you can kind of see I'm starting to fill in some rhythms here. And, you know, some great reference from that same book, I'll import real quick. I actually really like their leg reference. Bridgman also is the man who I probably prefer the most for this. Actually, is this the leg reference I like? I was talking it up there for a second and just realized. Let me add it. I hate that when I add stuff to Spotlight. Is there any way for it not to just completely throw everything? Anyways, this isn't as good. I was thinking of something else, I think. See you later, Cake. Have a good night. Thanks for hanging out. No, I did not work on Mordekaiser. I actually have not worked on any League stuff at all. So I can't take credit for any of that stuff. A lot of good people, though, working on League. But yeah, nothing I did. So anyway, so I'm basically getting to a point where I think, like, I don't want to... Like, there's some funky stuff about this, actually, still. But we can pose him. Like, he's probably a little broad. Let's see. Let's get our reference back up. Goodness. Where'd it go? There's that one. What am I doing? Panth, then? What do you mean? I don't understand your question. Maybe I misunderstood your question in the first place. Pantheon. Okay. Is that some League term? Because I'm not a hardcore League player. I must know. What do you mean, what am I doing at the Pantheon? No, I don't work on any League champs. That's what I'm saying. I haven't worked on anything League related. I've never worked on that game. I started it at Riot on one of the R&D projects. So I haven't worked on League itself. Sorry if I was confusing there. But yeah, haven't worked on any of that stuff. Personally. Any good books you recommend to improve the human form and creature design? And do you think having multiple ninja skills like rigging and animation is a plus? I really like George Bridgman books for specifically character anatomy. I think how he breaks down like just a big part of, sorry, not character anatomy, video game characters. I really like him a lot because I feel like it's very applicable to games because it's all about, like his work's all about the planes of the figure and breaking that down, and then he goes from there. I also actually really like a lot of the old classical, like just sculptors, you know, because how they sculpt in marble and stuff is very planar, and because of how translucent marble is, like looking at their stuff. But yeah, Bridgman's awesome. I think, I mean, there's tons of other anatomy books, you know, out there, but I like Bridgman's simple little books where it just like breaks down forms, you know, rib cages, fingers, that kind of stuff. Yeah, my forearms are probably way too long. You're probably correct. And then I actually really like Scott Eaton's class. Scott Eaton taught an anatomy class once at Sony, and because he's worked in production, his explanation of it was really good because he understood how to communicate what production artists needs were. And I thought that was actually really useful for us. So I really liked his stuff. And that in terms of like, I don't know if Scott actually has classes, books, but I know he teaches. So like if you ever can look into one of his classes, I think his was one of the more useful anatomy classes I took. Very good at explaining things in relation to what we do. But yeah, I'd say also try not to get too much reference on anatomy. Pick some stuff and try and soak it up, you know. Just find what seems appealing and try to just learn. I think that's the way to go. But Bridgman's kind of the man. Can't go wrong. I think I'm actually going to make his arms a little longer. I'm going to err on the side of longer arms than shorter arms. So meaning, I think I still need to shorten these forms though. There's a lot of good anatomy things out there. But yeah, Bridgman's the man. Like Kevin Chen, he has a lot of good info out there. He teaches a lot of classes, and there's a lot of images. You can look at his work. He really breaks it down construction-wise, which is cool. Who else? Yeah, I really like the Anatomy Tools figures. So I have one of their statues that's just the figure. It's like an Ecrochet model. That's really useful for reference for me. I like that thing. Are the forms maybe too long? Yes, they are. And no, I was not. You were just looking at him because he had long forearms and felt funny. Sometimes you need people to just call it out. You know? Yeah, there you go. If Scott Eaton recommends something, then it's probably pretty good. If he has a page, I would check that out. That dude's anatomy stuff's really good. The new chest from Riot. Yeah, I'm not sure. But yeah, Scott Eaton. That guy's good. I like him. Okay, trying to think how far I want to take this anatomy. I like how lanky the arms actually kind of feel right now. Yeah, for sure. Free to ask whatever. I'll do my best to help. I like how this kind of feels, the upper body. The lower body still's a little funky and probably should look at some reference at this point. I'm just going to use this stuff I have here. Hold on. Do I have full body? Hold on, I'm picking something to load in. Sometimes it's just a nice reminder to have like stuff like this where, and again, it's going to bust up my, hold on, maybe I just haven't stopped and read. Add to spotlight. I feel like, do any of you know when you add to spotlight for it to just add it but not destroy your layout? I legit don't know. This is why I just should use pure ref and just have it overlay on this. Anyways, stuff like this can be good because I sometimes will stop and be like, look at this, and it helps me think this through. So, oh my goodness, I lost all my stuff. Where'd it go? There it is. Oh my goodness. Let's put it all back down at the bottom. There we go. I want this here. I really should use pure ref, especially for this stream. There we go. Yeah, PureF's great. If you guys haven't used that, it's awesome. All right, let's continue. So what's a little funny probably right now if I look at this, like basically what I was trying to capture here is like rib cage, abdominal area, hips. Because this is flowing so far in, it almost looks like he has less like a man's hips structure versus a woman's. I think it's also what's feeling funny. I need to square up some stuff here. And specifically in terms of how his pelvis lines up with his legs. Now granted, I'm going to pose this guy out, but figuring this out a little bit here is going to help us not feel quite as off when we pose it here in a second. Also, I think his upper abdomen compared to his lower abdomen, let's figure out a little bit of forms here in the crotch area so that there's some overlap in forms. Yeah, the Photoshop style would work based on the canvas and just layer it, if that makes sense. So I'm assuming you have Photoshop always on top or something? Something like that. Also, his rib cage. Okay, overall, he's probably too big. I forgot I scaled this up and didn't scale it back down. His head size is way too big compared to his body right now. Also think we should keep him a longer neck, right? I think so. I think the one I have is a little short. Let's pull this back. I just wanted to feel lanky, Simon Lee style. Maybe not that lanky, but you know. If you guys don't know who Simon Lee is, you should look him up. Really good. Dude can sculpt. Guy's awesome. I really like his posing and stuff. Like it kind of puts me to shame here because he's just like, I'll just get a little armature and pose it and sculpt it. You know, he doesn't need this ZBrush mirroring going on that we have the luxury of using. All right, so I'd say let's get this neck in place. So you kind of want the neck to still feel like a tube, even though it's not a straight up tube. The idea is it's slotting into the body here. And when it does, it should, for the most part, go up down to your little clavicles here, right? You don't want it to be wildly off. And then we're going to have our ribs might be coming a little low, which is not allowing for this to come up and all this to kind of raise up a little. Do we ever outsource character art to independent artists? It's not heard of for people to remotely work with an artist, depending on the needs they have. But it's not super common. If there's a specific person, like a studio just really, say like, there's something about their style or they're like in a bind and they need a high quality work from someone, right? They might hire out and find someone to do that. But yeah, this is going to be like the belly button here. So usually that comes right across here. So you think this is where my belly button's going to land. It's kind of where the two abdomens come together. So yeah, I mean, it can happen. Not that common though. But also you're starting to see it a little bit more because some of these people will be making smaller games and not like low budget per se or like not high quality, but it's hard to build up art teams, so they'll outsource a lot of the art, you know. And so whether that's through individual people or whatever, you're starting to see it a little bit more because working remote's getting a little bit easier. But yeah, not super common. All right. This knee still feels low, even though we extended it earlier. We got to figure out that pivot. It's pretty important. Yeah, Simon Lee is awesome. If you guys don't know, he's basically a designer and he's really great. All right, so I think we're hitting a point where we might be able to pose this up. So we're starting to get some rhythms. NightCrawler's legs should be pretty strong. We'll handle the costume after the pose probably, because I don't want to worry about like trying to sort out, like for example, like, you know, oops. I don't want to deal with the costuming getting in the way of our posing right now. You know, he has his little thing coming off, so that's a clear, obvious design thing, but we should pose it up first. Let me see. I'm trying to decide. Oh no. Kind of meshed. I just realized we have not saved this whole time. Oh man. No. Oh man. What did it just do when I went to save? All right. Auto saved at some point, probably when I was talking. Let's go look. Oh, man. I literally was going to save it right there. ZBrush Crash quick saves. You may view the available quick save files in Lightbox. I have a feeling that did not quick save. That crashed hard. Let's see what we got here. Okay, we got something. 299. Oh man, this is sad. The question is, how old? Yeah, let's look in autosave. Well, autosave is quick save, right? Or is there also... That's quick save is the autosave, correct? Oh man. It's not terribly off. You know when it was, I think, is when right before I pulled up the reference for adjusting the waist. No, the arms still need adjusted back. The neck. My fault. Let's do it. And then we can pose this thing. My goal was to at least put it in a pose tonight. So I feel like that's what we should do. Personal. NightCrawler. Oh my goodness. My quick save settings? Whatever the default is. Where is it? I typically, honestly, I'm really good at saving. It's just because we're on here talking. I just didn't think about it. We probably lost like 10 minutes there. It's okay. Under save history. Undo history. Oh, quick save. Here we go. Max duration. What does that mean? In minutes. Oh. Maximum duration slider sets maximum number of unique minutes that can elapse between autosaves. So at most, we lost probably about 20 minutes. For here, let's do like 10 minutes. Restoration. Restoration slide defines the number of minutes that ZBrush needs to be idle or not. It used to be, autosave. 1 minute. If you leave your computer for 1 minute or switch to another application. Okay, let's do for this then like 0.5. Oh, 1's the lowest. Okay. Optimize undo history, max quick save files. I don't need 50 quick save files, that's a lot. Okay, we'll do 10 minutes. Honestly, I just got to remember to save. Goodness. You know, he looks so funny. What did we lose? How much did we do? All right, let's go. Let's go. Enough chit chat. Let's get this thing back into tip-top shape. When I was working at Sony on the God of War 3 trailer, I was working on this crow at the beginning of the trailer. It like is this crow that's like full screen up close, and it's like chomping on some eyeball. And anyways, had to be a pretty high res crow. And I worked on it just to sculpt probably for like 2 weeks, and my machine hard just blew up, died, and we didn't have it backed up anywhere. Yeah. No quick save can save you in that scenario. That is then when we started to have auto backup drives. Didn't want that to happen again. Probably wasn't the only one that had that kind of a problem, but shortly after that, I always learned to back up my stuff on Perforce or whatever the studio you're working at is using. That's the next tier of saving. Okay, these forms still feel extra long, don't they? So yeah, anyways. But yeah, we got this. We can do it. I'm reading what Lone Wolf's saying here. I'm pretty bad at typing, explaining, but the other way I know to create a reference background in ZBrush is through the layer tab with a combination of document import. Yeah. Honestly, the Spotlight's like all right. It just has problems when you load more. That's all. If anyone at Pixlogic is listening right now, Jaime or someone is here. Maybe? I don't know if it's a priority though. I mean, really. They always surprise me though with what they come up with. I don't think is a necessity, and then they do it, and I'm like, oh yeah, I do need that. Thank you. So I'll let them keep at it. The thing I'm just most thankful for recently added was folders. Thank you, thank you. That was heavenly. Because we'll have characters with an insane amount of subtools, and yeah. All right, let's fix this up. We're just going to repeat what we did earlier. We're going to square this guy off some. You'll notice I look from underneath a lot, I think, because you're trying to understand your planes this way. So this is an important view. And sometimes, honestly, like using the standard material, you know, and changing your light angles is really useful too when you start to sculpt your forms. Okay, if I remember correctly, our knee was really low, it felt like, and we extended the lower leg. Do we do this at this point? So I watch a decent amount of games on Twitch, and because a game inherently is kind of entertaining, it's kind of entertaining to watch. Do you all watch a lot of people sculpt on Twitch? I'm curious, like, what do you find entertaining? You know, like I'll watch games. I mean, obviously there's like personalities, the game itself, maybe learning. Be curious for you guys when it comes to like sculpting or art, what it is you enjoy about art streams or things. Because I don't watch as much artists on Twitch and these types of platforms. Maybe I should do that more. Like I'll find people like on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, you know, watch a tutorial or something. Or are you guys just like hanging out and make while you're working on something? Oh, Radek, but you came to this one. That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. Yeah. The engagement part is big, I think. And that's why for this, it'd be fun to do stuff you guys can be involved with. And that's why we probably should get a Discord channel or something set up to where we could plan out some things to go over, you know, that the community feels would be fun. As well as what keeps me sane. And that typically, honestly, I actually really like the community aspect. Like when I used to teach, I enjoyed a lot the live sessions where we'd do critiques and stuff, and that was always really fun. And so I could totally see doing a thing where like we spend time critiquing whoever's working on something, you know? It's fun. Yeah, fill in the background noise is kind of nice for Twitch too, yeah. I sometimes fall asleep to Twitch. If I can't fall asleep, I'll put on StarCraft or something and watch people play. I'll pass out, which is totally funny. It feels like a very modern thing to do instead of TV, which is funny. Yeah, it's true. Watching people work definitely encourages you. I'd agree. Yeah, and it's true. Maybe this like 3D art community thing on Twitch is like totally ahead of itself or something, you know, like the Pixelogic's trying to do. So yeah, I was just curious. Just curious. All right, so I think we're almost back to where we were, and to not sit on this portion of it too long, I think we should get into posing. Let me think here. All right. He's many heads tall, check. Long arms, definitely, check. Let's do this. Okay, let me save. Last time I started masking stuff, I crashed at this point. Let's try. All right, put that there. This we can start kind of, I'm just gonna kind of start doing stuff like this, right? So his elbow these arms are long, for sure. But I kind of like that. Like, so we could scale them up, you know, make them more normal, have the elbow hit down by the ribs maybe a little more. But then we kind of, honestly, that doesn't feel that bad. Maybe I go in between. Maybe they were a little long, crazy before that. You can always lengthen them once we pose them. But that does kind of feel more in line, even though I was about to say I don't want to do that. All right, that's pretty good. And then the leg length, All right. So what I typically do is I'll draw like from where the outside of your, it's the great trochanter, I think, the bone you feel that hits here, typically like straight down, about right there is like the middle on average stuff. This is like the middle. So I'll draw a line down. I don't even have perspective on. What am I doing? And then I'll move it up and I'll see where I'm landing. So this is pretty average at this point, right? There's a ratio of lower body to upper body, which is what I think I'm feeling. So let's lengthen this whole thing. I think I'm going to do it by pulling down, not so much. Anything else. Because then I can save my feet and stuff here a little. There we go. Look at that. Now he's long-legged dude, which in this pose I think is actually going to be pretty important. Let's get our reference back. Beautiful. All right, I think we should pose him. And his neck, I think his neck's a little, feels compact still. Let's move this whole thing back. I think I did that before it crashed also anyways. So I'll redo all this. And pull it down. So I mean, we could accent a little bit that like there's the neck muscles right here by just naturally having like this kick here like this. And if you see it kind of lines up like that, you start to feel that a little bit. And you can kind of just start to kind of feel it in there. And you get that little curve, the strong neck muscles. Yeah. All right. All right, all right. All right, all right. You know, this kind of looked crap there for a while, you might remember. Not as bad now. So you always just got to kind of keep going. Got to just kind of keep moving. And you'll eventually, you know, find your reference, get your feedback. Whoa, got to read. All right, let's see what Lone Wolf is going to teach us here. In layers, you create a duplicate. You jump into layer 1 and change your material to skin or flat. By doing this, the image will maintain its color value and not be affected by the material color. And import the image. You need to figure out what your canvas size is. So you just look in the document and look at the width and height in ZBrush. Oh, I know what you're talking about, I think. In layers, you create a duplicate. You layer 1, change your material to skin flat. Yes, yes, import the image. Yeah, you want the flat shader for sure. Import your image. Oh, yes, I know what you're talking about on the canvas. Yeah, so you basically make a plane. That is your canvas. You go flat shaded, put your image like a texture, put it on the background. Yeah. Yeah. That is true. I used to do that. I actually used to totally do that before they made Spotlight. And I even forgot about that workflow. If anyone's wondering what he's talking about is, I do think things like Pure Ref solve this, like period, you know, like it's so easy. But real quick before we pose, what he's referring to is, if any of you aren't sure, you can go to, say, your plane. Where plane 3D. And, oh, shoot, to your point, you said, you just look in document and look at the width and height in ZBrush. Layer in the tab. Maybe I didn't do this. I was thinking of, basically what I was thinking of is we'd actually used to make planes like this. And I would apply a texture, say said texture, to plane, right? You can go flat shaded like this. And then put it here on your canvas, like so. Oh, yeah, you can even move it. And then you go off your canvas, like so, and now it's just part of it. That's how I used to do it. Let's see what this is. Whoa. Interesting. So it must take, so in this layer tab you say fill. In that case it's a white. In the case that we add, say, whatever image it might be, flat color, it takes the image. And if you do the correct aspect ratio, then it'll work. That's cool. Delete. Yes. I've never used this before. It's actually cool. All right. I'm getting distracted. All good tips, indeed. I do think Pure Refs works though, even though these are good solutions. After using Pure Ref, I was like, why don't I just have this at home? All right, so let's look at this one last time. I think I almost still feel like the legs are probably going to need to be a little longer. Oh no, dude, you don't have to say sorry. We have no reason not to. Like my first stream a couple weeks ago, I learned about a bunch of random stuff that I honestly had no idea. So I appreciate it. And some of it's really useful. Part of me feels like in this pose, we're going to end up making his legs like this long. But let's do this. Let's get it in the pose, because even already, it's funny. We lengthen these legs, and I'm like, they kind of feel short. And we already made them long once. But what we can do is get it in pose, and then see. It's funny, the style, like if we make this lankier, like over the push style, we're gonna have to update the head more too. That's for sure. All right. I don't know why I'm scared to get in on this pose, but we're gonna do it. I think we also gotta make him blue, because NightCrawler's blue. All right, let's get our pose reference up. Let's get them all loaded into Spotlight. All right. This is our knee ref when we get there. There we go. I went golfing last weekend for the first time in a solid year. I don't really golf much. Me and my buddies did a Memorial Day golf game last year, and I won, surprisingly. I can play okay. We did it again over the weekend, which wasn't Memorial Day. We missed Memorial Day. And brought my son, who's 6. I wasn't sure what he was going to think. And he loved it. He had a lot of fun. I was surprised. I wasn't sure if he was going to enjoy it or not. It was cool. We had a good time. I don't know if any of you guys golf. I played pretty much soccer, which, by the way, Champions League was awesome over the weekend also. And then today in the Under-20 World Cup, USA beat France, which was awesome. Oh, my neck. I don't know about you guys, but I've been going to a buddy. He's a chiropractor because I was having some back problems, and he was talking about my neck, and he was talking about how bad it is. And I was like, well, my whole career is like this, like I'm doing right now with you guys. And he was like, dude, you have to figure out how to be more neutral. So for all of you out there, do some stretches. Try and get neutral. And try not to hunch over too much because it adds up. That's me. And I can't help it. Look at me. I'm already leaning back in like this. I do like climbing. I'm from Colorado and a lot of climbing out there, but I don't do a lot of climbing, but I like it. I think it's fun. Oh, spotlight. I wish I did more climbing. In Colorado, it was like in our back door. You know, you could just go out and climb. There's a lot of stuff. Out here, you have to really, feels like at least, I have to make a much more of an effort to do something like that. There are a lot of gyms here you can do it at, but I just haven't. I don't really have any close friends right now that climb that I'm near, at least I'm aware of. How did I get into sculpting? Well, when I was young, I remember liking characters. I always liked video games. I remember the earliest memory I have of sculpting was in middle school. I was in a class, an art class, and we could make anything we wanted. And we were using like clay, and I made Donkey Kong. And I thought it was awesome, you know. And I think back to then, I really liked making characters. And I would, at the time too, I really liked drawing, like, there's a lot of these like cartoon caricature stuff I would see. I really realized looking back on it, I really responded well to that, but I didn't really do anything. I dabble like a little bit with art, but not really, honestly, at all. And even in high school, then I got in high school and I met some friends who did 3D. And they kind of introduced me to it. And I was playing still a lot of games at the time. I liked them. And I remember seeing the Final Fantasy VII cinematics, and they just were like, blew my mind. And I remember thinking like, man, I really want to do this kind of stuff. And so once I realized like, oh, there's 3D, I can use a program. At the time, I was using Max. And I kind of just got into making characters 3D. I was terrified of sculpting and drawing because I had no fundamentals at all. And so for me, I early on would just do 3D modeling, which, I mean, we didn't really have ZBrush then. I wasn't aware of it, at least. I think like version 1 might have been out back then. And but in high school, I was just modeling stuff. And then, is my dog whining at me over there? A little mini dachshund, and likes to demand it can go outside. Yeah, so I got an internship after high school. I talked about this a little bit last week, so I'll keep it short. And that's where I got more into the character stuff, and they kind of helped me. And still, I wasn't sculpting. I was polymodeling everything. And I started taking art classes in community college. And so, what's up? Welcome. Prashant. And that's when I started working on drawing and stuff a little bit more. And then when I moved to LA and got my first job, it was still poly modeling. And that's when there's a guy I worked with at the time, Rich, and we started using ZBrush because of normal maps. And that's when I started getting into sculpting. And that was like 14 years ago now, which is crazy. And so that, because I knew the industry was going to start using ZBrush and normal maps, I started learning. And then I started to realize how much I needed to learn, to be quite honest. It really started to showcase, because like polymodeling, you could kind of be technical back then and make games. And you still have to be technical, but I feel like with the advent of ZBrush, it really started to separate the people who could actually sculpt or do things to just the technical. And it was really scary because I didn't feel like I had the fundamentals. And so I've had to learn over time, you know. So yeah, it's been a while now, but been having to learn. All right, let's do this. Let's pose it. I'm going to actually duplicate this body. I don't need the tail. The head I need to merge together, otherwise it's going to be a pain. So let's merge it down. We can always separate it later. Not a problem. So yeah, that's when I think the question is, when did you, what was it? Oh, that when my chat window was covering that button. That's funny. I thought it was just processing it. How'd you get into sculpting? That's how. It's kind of a necessity, and I kind of evolved to realizing that I liked it. And I remember the first game I actually worked on that was ZBrush. So like my first jobs were all PS2, Xbox titles. Didn't totally have to have ZBrush yet. And then I left and went to the studio called Luxoflux and worked on True Crime. And it was still polygon modeling and flat textures. And then I got a buddy of mine, for my first job was on the Spider-Man 3 game. And they were starting to use normal maps. And so they're like, hey, you know how to use normal maps? You can work here. And so, and it was literally the studio next door, so that helped too. So I went there, and because I knew how to use ZBrush, I think, I got a job. But back to what I was talking about earlier in the stream, all while working at Luxoflux, I was making like my own fantasy character with ZBrush, knowing that this was a thing. So I was pretty proactive about it. And for you all looking for work, you kind of have to think that way. And then when I got the opportunity, you know, I had something, and I was like, sure. And so I joined them, and we made games. Back then, you only had one subtool, though, so there was no concept of subtools. You had one mesh you could import. And so you'd have everything on one mesh. And it was a pain. But that's how we rolled. And then ZBrush 3 came out and changed our lives. ZBrush is the best. It's great. Okay, so we're going to pose this guy. Thankfully, this is kind of a simple pose. Not too crazy. So what we're going to do is, for sake of staying in ZBrush here, I'm going to kind of actually plot something out here real quick. Which is, I like to, let's color fill this. I'm going to think this through real quick. Because we have good reference for the front, like not even a problem. We have great reference, but I think thinking through a little bit this side is important before we get going. So we're going to draw on a plane. Let's RGB. Never have worked in film. I'm games through and through. Here, let me dog out real quick. I feel like, oh, you have a 15-year-old Bajan. I just saw that. Yeah, that dog probably needs to go outside a lot for the restroom. I have this one in particular. We have too many dachshunds. One is 9 and one is 5. The 5-year-old loves going in and out of the door. And because I think when she was a puppy, we had a doggy door just run out a lot, and it was a really bad habit, and now we don't. And she just wants us to let her out on demand. But it has been a while. She might need to use the restroom. 1 second. All right, let's do this. Also, I was just thinking, do I have Discord on here? If you guys do use Discord, I think I made a channel correctly. I think. I could send the invite out on this channel. All right, so he's going to have a pretty forward neck. This is almost Spider-Man-like. Actually. I could probably find some pretty good Spider-Man reference. So we're going to have torso here. Hips are probably going to be tilted like this, probably. Gotta see. It's pretty wide stance. Pretty parallel how he has them. So this is going to be foreshortened, which I'm not amazing at drawing. And weapons coming down. And in a little bit. Am I drawing with masks? No, I'm drawing with poly paint. I just took a plane, filled it with white, and you can see up here I have RGB on with the standard brush, and I just have it on black, just drawn. You can actually paint like a thing in here if you really wanted. Like, you could actually. What's interesting about this too is like, because it's geometry, I can be like, okay, I'm going to move this around now. Kind of interesting. But no, I'm just trying to think through the plan. Like even this feels like it's falling forward, because the feet have to be like this. I can't draw this foreshortened, but this is going to be foreshortened, almost pointing out to us. Right? And then stomach. These are basically the parts that I built that we're going to pose. It might even be more like this. Rib, hips lean forward still. Legs up. Feet down, grabbing onto the little pole. And then we have the center of gravity has to be, and this is why I think my pose here is even messed up, because most of the weight has to sit on these feet. So, Photoshop 2.0, that's right. Photoshop has nothing on this. So anyways, we're going to kind of at least start posing neck forward. This gives me at least an idea on this, right? This is probably rotated forward too much, but we can go from there, I think. Let me see. Boom, boom. Might not be able to go so far forward. Like, yeah, we'll figure it out. Substance, yes, I use some substance. Hey, thanks for joining us, Admiral. Appreciate you hanging out. Appreciate it. It's been fun. Yeah, that's true. And how I kind of read this pose, if he's ready to jump, to your point, you could tweak the center of gravity. Depends on standing still or not. I see it as kind of standing still. It's kind of how I read it. It's like he's kind of in resting pose, like just looking cool for a photo. It's kind of what I figured. All right, so let's move this over here. Kind of gives us a reminder, and let's do this. No, that's right, you gotta go out of edit mode and then select that and go back into edit mode. Here we go. What time is it? Oh man, okay, let's do this. Gotta keep it going while I can. Keep it moving. Yeah, I could find Spider-Man ref. Also, my music turned off. That's my problem. Let's see. Oh my goodness, this anatomy for the artist, I just switched over to Explore. And there's like a side view of a guy crouched. Oh my goodness, my dog's barking now. I have to go get her, bring her inside. I'm looking at Spider-Man stuff real quick. Hold on. See if we can find a good crouching pose. Any of you have a good link to a good crouching pose? Let's see. Can I get you guys to see this webpage? Let me try. Browser. Let's see. It's called Chrome. Let's say that clearly is not correct. Let's cancel that. Here, 1 second, guys, and we're gonna pose this. Bring my dog in. All right. Shoulders might not even be wide enough. All right, let's just start. I don't know if that's good advice, but let's do it. We're going to start symmetrical and go from there. Duplicate this so I have it. The tail, I'm going to turn off for a moment. And, you know, I'm going to actually combine this head, I think. Let's duplicate the head and bring it down here. I guess I could have the tail in. It's kind of important. Is this character Wombat Diablo? Yeah, it's a good front image. This is NightCrawler. XMen. All right, we'll just work on the whole pose together, I think. All right, so I just merged this all into one subtool. Let's do it. So I'm going to start, I think, by basically the head's going to be pretty much forward on this. I'm assuming. Kind of like giving my reference image there. So we can rotate that back. Add that into the masked group. Come down here. I think rotate this back a little. We'll start to fill out the rib cage a bit. And let's go down here. Hello, Mikolo. How's it going? Mikolo, or I assume that's how you say it. Hopefully I don't butcher your guys' names as much as... Good morning to you, maybe? Is that what it is for you? Good evening. We are, for those joining, are in the posing phase of this guy now. We blocked in his body tonight, and now we're going to pose it. Nice, 9:30. It's 12:30 a.m. for me. All right. Oh, my back hurts. That's what he looks like right now. Whereabouts are you from, Nicola? Somewhere in Europe. That's my guess. All right, so we gotta very much rotate his legs out. Poland, that's cool. Wait, you have the, I was just talking earlier before you got on about the under 20 World Cup. It's in Poland right now, isn't it? If it's asymmetrical, if it's like a, you guess so. Sorry, I just saw that symmetry press. It's the little under 20 World Cup. That'd be so fun to go to. Anyways, if it's symmetrical, if the pose is asymmetrical, it depends. A lot of figure sculptors will sculpt in asymmetry. So like they may do something like I have here, like a proxy, and they'll pose it out and then just sculpt it. Oh, I see. You guys lost to Italy. We actually just beat France. It was amazing. The U.S. did. It was awesome. So I'm a little excited. So some people will do like what I have here, which is like kind of this block in, and then they'll pose it, and then after that point, they just break symmetry. They do not worry about it, and just sculpt. And typically, it'll add a little more character and stuff. And some people will straight up build their proxy in pose. And that's a good way to do it too. You get a lot more flavor. This case, he's pretty symmetrical pose, so I'm probably just gonna sculpt it all symmetrical. It really depends. Like this pose in particular is pretty symmetrical, right? So I'm kind of lucky in that sense. Just depends. Don't be scared of sculpting in asymmetry. For eons, people didn't have symmetry tools, you know, and clay and stuff. It just takes a little longer, but you also grow a lot by doing that. And a lot of times when I'm posing this stuff, it takes a little bit of trial and error to get going, because I'm not using like a rig. I'm just brute forcing this thing. I just broke his leg, I think. And you could make a rig for it or something, but I don't know. My goal is, let me get into a pose that I can then sculpt. All right, so we're getting to the point where these are very close together. Okay, so I need to think this through. I need to probably these are pretty much going to be like this. This pose is killing you. How so? And how do you select polygroups like that? Or do you use this with hide and mask for each? Okay, so the nice thing with ZBrush and these polygroups is, since it's all one mesh and these are polygroups, so when you control drag, oh wait, no, sorry. Let me clear this. When you control shift drag, you get the individual polygroup. Well, actually, that does a mask. Let me see. Okay, so yeah, control dragging, If I control drag and just go on itself, it'll make a ramp like this, right? If I control drag off to another subtool, it's gonna highlight the entire thing. And then if you hold down Shift and Control and do the same thing, right, start on a subtool and then drag off to it, it'll just mask off the whole thing. That's how I'm doing that. And so it's kind of a quick way to just, I keep one mesh and I don't, you know, yeah, it's a quick way to do it. And it's quite convenient when you have other stuff too. But yeah, Control, drag off, Control, Shift, drag now to add objects. Different polygroups, right? It's the weirdest pose. I'm taking a deuce you've ever seen. Well, you might make a point, but we're going for it. He's gonna be posed Spider-Man style. I might have to find more solid reference for some of this. So let's see here. The other nice thing at this point to do is like, I'll start doing stuff where because ZBrush, it doesn't have actual perspective. It has like ZBrush's 2.5D stuff. And so sometimes it's hard to really get the total feel for how it is sitting. So I'll drop it into Maya. Oh, thanks. Yeah, I need to add, actually no, I added my latest one to ArtStation. I think it's pretty up to date. Thank you. All right, let's see here. All right. Let's get this forward, arms forward. Oh, it's saving for me. Thank you. For those who weren't here earlier, we crashed, lost this thing, which was lame. All right, so clearly it's going to rotate in kind of like this. Got to be careful to break over symmetry at this point, else it'll start grabbing. All right, so my feeling is that this actually, according to this drawing, and probably even a Spider-Man style, except for to Ventlox's point, it does look funny sometimes. Oh, that's hilarious. It's just chilling. Just chilling, you know, up in a tree. Okay. You know, worst case scenario, we pose it out, and we're like, this is funny. Change it. But yeah, I'm feeling the Spidey vibe here. If anyone has a good crouching Spider-Man, that'd be great. We can even give them little swords. Let's do the, where is it? Insert primitives. All right, let's go capsule here. Oh, I just realized, before I do that, let me rotate his hands correctly. Just put him in an Adidas tracksuit. Oh man. You guys are killing me. Look. You go ahead and model that toilet. Be my guest. You're funny. Funny. I mean, I could just have him standing. It's kind of boring. My goodness. So yeah, when you guys are posing stuff, make sure to start from, you know, I wouldn't even call myself a master at posing by any means at all. I just try and start from the biggest areas and move my way down. So like, I think through like try to think where the hips are sitting, where like, where the gravity is going to be. So like in this case, if it's grabbing on the feet here, just think that's where the weight is. We start trying to shift everything onto that weight. Especially if he's grabbing with his toes, Get him to grab something here. All right, let's add this thing in. I can tell it starts to get later when I talk less, and my tiredness starts to go up. All right, let's do this. Shoot me something, guys. Say something silly or ask a question. How many of you think this looks like, I need to take a poll, a guy on a toilet? Granted, the composition isn't complete. You see, it needs to be fully realized. Why does it keep snapping back on me? Sold them popsicles. It's interesting. I keep rotating it, and it like wants to snap back on me. Not sure why. It's weird. Oh, shoot. Let's cut out the, oh, that head's still there. All right, there we go. Perspective off. Let's turn on our clip curve. Am I still going to do a review tonight? Probably not tonight, just because what we need to figure out is a way to put them somewhere. Maybe push his torso forward from the hip, having him lean in a bit more and have him resting on the elbows. Yeah, I can do that. The only thing is, he still needs to be sitting back on his heels. And yeah, I'm not by any means done with the posing. So let's keep it moving here. I was just blocking in some swords real fast. Let's try to improve the other stuff. What character is this? It's NightCrawler from XMen. is what it is. All right. All right, get that there, get that there. The head. Oops. All right. Let me see. I agree. I think we need to. Oh, do I have the lock on this? We had this problem. So I remember this problem last week, I feel like too, where it was snapping back to a position. Why is it doing that? What do I have on right now? Yeah, his head does need tilted down. I'm trying to figure out why this is snapping back. Trying to remember. Oh my goodness, the pin icon. Oh, I see. Thank you. I find myself hitting like little buttons in ZBrush where I'm like, I had no idea. I hit that thing. It's funny. All right, let's tilt his head forward. Okay, I'm looking up at you. This will also like inform the head shapes more now that I'm seeing a lot of this that we did last time. Oh, dude, I totally remember you. How's it going? Oh, there's a Batman here. That's pretty good. I'm probably going to have to think through this pose after tonight a little bit. Also, part of the issue, I think, him feeling like he's on his toilet is how symmetrical I have it right now. What is it doing to me? There we go. Man, guys, I am dropping off. Sorry, my chat has dropped. I'm thinking I could make this pose eventually more asymmetrical. Hold on, I gotta think through here for a second. All right, I need to rotate it out. And that means this rotates more back. So with the ZBrush ones, you got to always make sure your angles on this are correct. How you set up your gizmos, or else it will be off. And we got to get this all the way back to his sitting on him, basically. And then turn on topological. You can start moving some of this around. Can lean his elbows on that. Now he's way too forward. He looks so sad. I think he's sad you guys don't like his pose. I think that's the problem for the poor NightCrawler tonight. Okay, so in this case, I think, all right, it's almost 1. So I'm gonna give this a little bit more here. And then, but what I think I might do on this case, I'm trying to decide if I should just redraw the tail. I think I do. Yeah, look at his serious face right now. He's like, Oh my goodness. It's ridiculous. Yeah. It's fun. Once you start posing it shakes up a lot of stuff. Like, as far as the character goes, right? Starts to reveal things about them. Start to have something to bounce it off of. Here for myself, I'm gonna just kind of draw something here. Don't need to worry about anatomy yet, but get something there. Head might be, yeah. We'll have to work on this. The nice thing about getting this all laid in is now I'm gonna have a clear point to work on. You know, I think in the end, I thought I might have made his legs too long after all's said and done. And that was something we were looking at before. So what we need to do is bring some of this back. Oh, actually I need to do his shins first. So this gets shortened. And then we're going to bring and we'll bring this back. Let's do that. This. Ah. All right. Let's move this. So we're almost there touching this point. Also got to make sure the quads feel like pretty big, strong. All right. Let's hide the arms. The nice thing about working this way too is like this, I can then hide these parts pretty quick. Work out these volumes now. Yeah, I'll look at the forms next here. First thing I just noticed was like how long the legs were. We can do forms here next. Let's put a little volume into these first. Let's go back to that. Just gotta remember our bone structure when we do all this, so make sure I don't totally lose it. And actually saying that, I need that one image on the side. Where is it? Right here. So I think the important thing we got to remember here is this bony landmark over here. Let me move these. Just can't lose sight of. That's a tough image to look at. This bone right there. A lot of the glutes and things are going to pull into this thing as we build this out. So yeah, those will stretch down there. I'm going to have to look at that more. Might want to pull down this shin just a touch, this leg. Give it room to compress together at least. Kneecap can go in there. We're going to get a lot of muscle around this knee, so it generally needs inflated. But a lot of times you do get this flat point right here is like you have the muscles coming attached to the sides of the knee there. And you got that ligament on the front, but you get this plane right there on the front. And so I can stylistically probably emphasize that more than I need to. Again, at this point, I need to get some good ref on some of this as well. But we can get the posing here for now. Maybe even using my inflate brush a little bit here. Let me see if I can send you guys the Discord for those that want to try and do this with me. Let me see. I think so let's see here. I got a channel. Invite members. 1 day unlimited uses. I don't care. Expire never. Save. Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can find our Twitch channel and post this. All right. Now how do I set link to expire? Share link. Copy. So I'm thinking for one of our next ones, if we want to do like some feedback or reviews, we could plan some of that in Discord. I can ask you guys. I don't know how active this will be. We can find out, I guess, pretty quick. All right, let me find. I'm going on Twitch real quick. If we want to do like some feedback or reviews, we could plan. All right, let's see if this works. I'm going to paste it on my thing here. Then I'll need to paste it to all the channels. That's me. Now I'm going to copy and paste that on. Oh, see if I can grab it. All right, hold on. Let me see here. Why can't I copy and paste this link? Come on. There we go. All right, so anyone that wants to join in chat can go there. I should have got that going at the beginning of the stream also. We can always do that. Looks like some people, it's working, so nice. All right, we got something going. It can be a pretty chill little Discord channel. If anything, I'll just use it for this, really, honestly. Like, I think, like I say, we can come up with things to do in the channel, and then it'll be good. We can sort it out in there. But at least I'll have that. Feel free to share it for anyone that you might know. And I can't be like super active, like giving feedback on there all the time. But what we can do is plan what we want to do on here. So if we want to do like a feedback night, there's enough of you that have stuff, we could open up sculpts, look at them, look at some portfolios, you know, or plan like themes to just work on together or something. You know, I don't know. We could chat in there. All right. This is getting there. Honestly, like aside from sorting out some stuff, this is not terrible. All right, so you mentioned the forearm length. Yeah, it's probably a little long still too. I might have made them too lanky. Let's shorten it just a little. Come on. Why is it not wanting to work with me? Let's do it this way. All right. All right, let's get the tail in. Something funky about this mesh, and ZBrush not wanting to work with me on it. It's weird. Yeah, I see all you guys joining. Welcome to Discord. I was using Sculptress earlier. This little block temp sword I put in though, is just, okay, I do feel like that. You know, it's interesting, seeing it like this makes me go, the torso is feeling like it's getting short or small. I might have to sleep on this one. Obviously we need to sculpt in some muscles, but I might have actually been kind of correct on the arm length. And then what needs to happen is I need to lengthen some other aspects, like the torso. So I think what's happened is my legs have, let's see here. Yeah, you can remesh and project. So like my goal, I would do that eventually for sure. So like what I do at this phase is this is all about getting the pose in place. And then once we're happy with that and we're hitting, like starting to hit, also could have just got compressed more than it needed to. Once we start to hit the pose that we like, and we actually start to sculpt in the forms, then I'll probably remesh and project. I'll probably still try to keep the arms as their own group and not project them onto the legs like they kind of are right now. So like they're colliding. But yeah, this stage is all about just posing. I might even sculpt on the body some. Like I might merge the body and the arms together and the head. Keep the legs separate for now so it's easy to manage. And then eventually merge the torso together. And maybe, you know, honestly, actually I'd take all that back. Probably what I'll do is this has a really natural seam because of his red, you know, part of the outfit. So what we could probably do is separate it there. Have the arms, the body, the legs together. And maybe even the feet. Or the, yeah, whatever I'm saying. Yeah, I got to figure out these arms. They're still a little off. All right, so let's get this tail in before I call it a night. He's still a little off balance. So like if he's sitting on this little branch here of this image, he's falling forward. Actually, just rotating the whole thing back helps a lot. He's sitting back on his hips now. And then what we do is this, that. Yep. Oh, man. All right, let's do this tail. So you can kind of see how it starts to come together. And we really want to nail this pose before going further. Keeping it separate. It's nice for this kind of stuff too. Yeah, actually I think you're right. For the body leaning forward, I could compress it even more. It's pretty straight here now. Yeah. And also it's just more dynamic. I think what I got to do that correctly then is we got to rotate him forward. Let's get these all masked. Actually, let's keep the arms there. Let's mask all this together. I'm thinking. So what we want is to get forward and just can't lose the compression here, or can't get overly compressed there, I mean. And also this will make for better curves all around. To your point, it's holding on pretty strong. Might be able to shift this back piece just a little to emphasize the hips also, holding this. Just enough. No, I got to keep those tight. And then push all this forward. Can do this kind of thing. Start to feel it out. So yeah, we're getting better curves now. All right, so let's get back to that. All right, I keep saying it. Let's do the tail. Oh man, it's getting late. Oh man, last stream I stayed up way too late, like this. I was dead the next day at work because my kids still get up at the same time. All right. Okay, let's try. I was gonna say we can redraw this. Let's try that first real quick. Where's our tube brush? Not insert. I always forget the name of these for some reason. Tube, curve tube. All right. Let's turn off that tail. Let's think of the best way to do this. Turn off symmetry. Actually, let's do it off of, actually we'll separate it. There we go. All right. Oops. I always do that. Gotta pull this down. Kind of have to like wiggle it out sometimes. And when you're, so if you guys don't know, when you're off the brush and adjust your brush size and then click back on, it's going to change your size. And then when you're on the curve and adjust your brush size, it adjusts the fall off amount to adjust the curve. It took me a while to understand that. I don't know why. So here, we're just gonna have to feel out some of these angles. Ah, shoot. Does anyone know how to, okay, I know when I adjust this size, it's gonna make bigger, and it does less steps, which is kind of what you want, but I want it to be smaller with less steps. Does anyone know how to do that? Because I want to keep it smooth, but I want to keep it smaller. Oh my goodness, what am I doing? I just don't know how. Because the second I make this small, it's in the stroke menu. Let me look. All right. Curve. Curve smooth slider will control the strength of curve smoothness when the smooth button is pressed. Curve functions. Curve modifiers. Curve prediction range, curve radius. One of these, the fall off. Oh, so do I do like a larger max size and then edit this fall off like this? No. Oh, size. There. Oh, I see. Okay, cool. So basically what we'll do is we're going to flatten this curve out, which in a way we do want it to taper, now that I'm saying that anyways, so let's just do it like this. Now we just got to make it, okay, all right. So if I want a little bigger controls, like so, then I can just bring this all down. Nice. There we go. All right, nice. Cool. I did not actually know how to do that. All right, now we can adjust this a little easier. Yeah, totally. Thanks, dude. I think it's like I just don't use, I mean, like when I use this, I always think that and I just kind of work around it. You know? I don't stop to think, like, to ask someone how to do it. So, nice. Ah, shoot, did I make it bigger? Yeah, that is true. A lot of the hairbrushes do. Now that you're saying that, I didn't connect the two for some reason. I don't know why. So I probably need to work on this curve. Oh shoot, I'm messing up my size. A bit more to make it interesting at least. Don't want it to look flat. At this point, it's just figuring out the flow, the feel of this thing. Oh, excuse me. Trying to think here. Sorry, I'm all in black. Thinking it probably needs to then, at the end, whip back around. Point kind of at the camera. Like it's going forward at something. Hey, hello, Baxter. You're coming right on the end. Thank you. We're blocking in the pose tonight, is what we've been doing. So, you know, it sucks it crashed earlier because I was going to bake out the time lapse of this whole thing. Now we don't have it. I guess it's on stream though. All right, let's see. Let's separate this out. Man, I really wish, and this is why I almost feel like doing some curve like this in Maya. And maybe I'm wrong in saying this, but I want to save this curve info. There's no way to do that I mean, unless one of you guys can enlighten me. I'm not aware of how to save off some sort of curve info like this. Is there? Now that I'm saying that, I'm starting to think, when are you going to tell me how? Awesome, thanks, dude. That's true. I guess I could duplicate this tool and not touch that curve. Is that what you would do? I think you're right. Let's see. Yeah, the old one has it. So if you don't touch it, you can kind of keep it that way. Kind of bizarre, huh? It's just one of those things, like in Maya, if you build it, you just have the curve, like on a layer or something, you just keep it. You move forward. I'm surprised, because this works on curves, that ZBrush doesn't have a thing yet where you can just store a curve. I think even on the original one I can, let me see. Oh wait, I need to hide the other one. I think I can delete hidden and just keep the tail. It's actually not a bad suggestion, honestly. So now we still have the curve. I can modify it. It's actually not, that's pretty good. I'm surprised I don't have something though, just because all these strokes are based on curves, and you think you could build up a bunch of curves. Lock start, oh goodness. I didn't even notice that. Here, let's delete this tail real fast. It's funny when you're working how you just don't pay attention to certain things. Oh, shoot. And then when I do this stream, I notice kind of this random stuff. All right, delete hidden. All right, so now we should have the tail with the curve along with this other stuff. I mean, it does work. We need to pull it back to him though. Oh no, did it duplicate it? Is there like two meshes in here? Is that what that just did? It did. Weird. It recreates the mesh. So like, bizarre. So like, I have this curve. It's going to make this mesh. Now I have two meshes. Ah. Oh man, ZBrush. That's funny. I thought we were all clever. Oh, wait a second. This actually did not delete hidden like I thought it did. Let's see. This function requires the mesh to be partially hidden. There we go. Now let's try. Yeah, it makes a new one. That's hilarious. Well, all right, you know, we tried. I want to recreate this real quick. That's hilarious. Let's delete this. Well, thank you for the tip. Anyways, welcome to any new people that joined. Yeah, we've been going for a few hours now. Man, every time I delete hidden, it does that. Or is there just multiple meshes here? No. Whatever. Basically, you can't save curves, so don't expect to. Anyways, welcome to anyone new here. We've been blocking this guy in tonight, posing, sharing tips. If you just joined recently, you might notice up above, posted a Discord link to a channel we started tonight to chat for future ones, future ideas on stuff we can do. Oh no, look at that. There are two meshes? There are. Delete hidden. And how many meshes did I make unknowingly? Let's block this in. Just to have something. I think I'm going to call it quits though tonight. I'm hitting a very much tired wall. I'm not even useful to you guys anymore. I'm chatting. But we got somewhere to where reference guide strokes. Let's look at this. Curve inventory subpalette. Oh. Record brush strokes. Button is used to capture a series of brush strokes. Replay them later and save them to disk file unless the add recording button is pressed. Pressing this button erases previous recorded brush strokes. Add recording. Press the add recording button to record additional brush strokes without erasing. Interesting. I'll have to look at that. There might be something to it. It's just crazy how simple that would be for me in my editor. You know? You know the difference between, I just even noticed my pose and even this concept piece? The legs themselves, he's a lot more upright. Less, so like, knees are more down like this. Oops. All right. Which, I mean, doesn't mean we have to do it exactly like that, but versus mine are more up. More like Spider-Man, I guess. Yeah, my coffee, I'm going to need that tomorrow. I think when I wake up and see this tomorrow, I'm going to have fixes for it already. Yeah, he needs to be on the balls of his feet. But there might be, and sometimes these paintings, you know, like they'll draw them a certain way, and doesn't necessarily mean in 3D it works quite the same. So you have to adjust a little bit. But to your point, like being more dancer is a good way to put it, I think. He's balanced himself on the balls of his feet. So actually that's a fair point. Versus resting back on his heels. He's almost upright and ready, which I like. So yeah, I think when I work on this more, we can get more of that feel actually. That's a good way to put it. A little more just like take this whole thing and just push up on the balls of the feet, and it would probably adjust him forward a bit. I mean, it looks cool even like that when I just pull him down. So I could get behind that. Actually kind of like it like that more. Yeah. It's weird, it kind of works. I just keep going. Yeah, I'm gonna have to sort that. I want to see how this feels in Maya. Let me open it. Let's save. Thanks. It's been fun. I like coming. Should be 2 weeks from now. We'll do it again. And in the meantime, if you guys join that Discord, you can chat. I know there's a few of these types around. Glauco has a Discord like this. I mean, mine won't be for much other than if you guys have a question here or there, and for stream prep. This needs to be a little thicker. All right, let me see here. I just opened Maya. Let me see if I can add this to OBS real fast. Oh, cancel. Oh, I have one I posted. Here, there you go. Or, you know, I can ask Pixel. Actually, now that you mentioned that, I should maybe even ask Pixelogic if they have one that has specific streamer channels. Maybe that could be a thing. Not sure. Let me see if I can add. Let me see. Trying to add Maya to this real quick. Not that. That looks wild, huh? Cancel that. Window capture, that's what it is. Maya. Yeah, here we go. There we are. All right. So what I like to do is, okay. Oh, I put mine on top of myself. That's funny. 1 second. All right. Figuring this out. All right, let me export this real fast out of ZBrush. Let's just merge visible. I like looking at it in Maya a lot because, let me see, it just gives you a better sense for things. What up, what up? I like that intro, that was good. All right, let's see. Wow, how high poly was this thing I just exported? What does it say? Guess it is 308,000 polygons. That's nothing. It's nothing. Oh my goodness. Maya. Oh my goodness. What would I do? Look at it. It's like, I can't compute. Normally, actually, Maya is quite fine with this. It must be how I... Let's see the materials here. Get this blend on him. Come on. Oh, I see what it did. Oh, you know what this did? That's why. It imported it as a bunch of parts, which we don't want. Let's try that again. Thanks for sticking around, all of you that are still here. We've slowed down a little bit. Well, maybe mine's dead. Yeah, when you export some of these things out of ZBrush, sometimes it'll make it a lot of little groups. So in Maya, you got to make sure you import it as a single object. Well, we were a ZBrush literally right before you showed up. Look, hiya! Yeah, Maya's dead. What I was talking about, we've been posing this guy and setting it up. And so I was talking about how I like to see it in places like Maya where you have true perspective, so that you can actually fill out some of these poses a little bit better. Yeah, we've been working on NightCrawler. So I was going to just show how I do that real quick. That's what we're doing. All right, here we go. Let me try this again. Import. One second. I'm in Maya. Hold on. Let me do single object. There we go. There we go. All right, let me switch this back real quick. All right, there we go. Way faster. So anyways, I usually just use this to get a better sense in terms of its space. Is all I use this for, and I'll put like a light on it or something. See my work? Yeah, you can search Art of Katon. Like my website, I don't know how up to date it is. Or on ArtStation, just search my name. Katon Callaway. You can't see NightCrawler? Oh my goodness, you're right. There's weird stuff with this streaming software. Thankfully, ZBrush works really easily. Well, never mind, guys. I'll have to figure out how that works. Unless there's like a specific window that I also have to capture. I need to do some research on some of these. I would have thought Maya would be quite simple. That sucks. I have NightCrawler in there. All right, screw it, turn it off. Anyways, you get the idea. You can drop it in there, and I basically will put like a directional light and see how the shadows are hitting the forms and get a better feel for it spatially. Especially if you plan on printing this or something. But I think I'm going to call it a night at this point. Sorry for those that showed up late. We've been going for a little while at this point. It's late for me, almost. What time is it? 1:40 a.m. It's fun though. I like streaming. Yeah, if you want to see my work, you can look on Instagram, Art of Katon, or just search that, my name, Katon Callaway. That sort of thing. Should be able to find it. ArtStation, it's probably the most up to date in my Instagram. I'll post more like work in progress stuff on Instagram, like sketches also. I'm doing. I'll show you guys. It's kind of fun. I've been doing this project with my kids where I started concepting these characters. Come on. And so I'm opening it. Sorry, one sec. Let me show you. It's fun. It's a little side thing. Maybe I'll make them at one point. These guys. Let me get these guys, this other ref out of the way. Oh, that's in the background. It's been fun. These kids, this red beard here, we got Olympia and Aiden. My kids come up with all the names. So I've been designing these and stuff. It's fun. So you'll see this kind of stuff on Instagram too. Not just ZBrush and sculpting. Anyways, everyone, thanks for coming. Thanks for hanging. It was fun, honestly. It was a good time for everyone that came. This was awesome. Again, every other Tuesday at this point, I'm gonna be streaming. Same time, 10 to 12, basically Pacific Standard over here. But in this case, we go later. But yeah, guys, thanks for streaming. You can find me, join the Discord here. I'll post it again. For those that haven't joined, join up. We can plan stuff around that and you can get more info there. And we'll stream here in a couple weeks, 2 weeks from tonight. I should be back. So anyways, have a good night, everyone. I'll catch you later. See ya.